Welcome everybody. Good evening. Another Tuesday, another AMA session, and this week we have Ashton. Last week I was here alone. Uh, I'm not as excellent speaker as our founder, but hopefully, guys, you found it, my thoughts useful as well. So you know the drill. Um, we will ask Ashton to do the overview, um, high time frame and roadmap updates, and then we will go to the second part of the MA session, and we will cover community questions collected in our servers in TG and Discord, and then of course you'll have a possibility to jump on the stage and to ask the questions live. So, good evening, Ashton, and Mike is to you.
Thank you, Paulus. Hey guys, apology I couldn't attend the last AMA. Um, so glad to be here. So as usual, we will spend about maybe 30-40 minutes going over some updates, and then another 30 minutes for community questions. I mean, the broader, obviously, the sentiment is everybody, feeling unhappy and confused. Well, this is what's going on, and I can relate to you guys because I was kind of in your shoes, many years. I kind of like learned how to manage expectation, right? I'm not disregarding how you guys feel, right? I mean, this is not something new. Um, I shared some of the facts as well. Like if you look at the uh, overall year, like 2025 is been a not just a terrible year in terms of price action and liquidity. I think it's also like a lot of people got it wrong about expectation. We had a really good equity year. We had technically like a super cycle for commodities. We have a pro crypto president, and we had a pro crypto administration, CFTC, SEC. Uh, the M2 money supply was good. I mean, everything like you think fundamentally can impact the overall liquidity and health of the market. I think something really terrible happened. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation. What happened uh, just 3 days before October 10th? There's a lot of things are happening right now. Like a lot of discussions happening right now. But I don't know, who's telling the truth, and possibly maybe in near future we will find out, right, what exactly happened in October 10th. But overall, I think the like 2025 being a very painful year. Um, but regardless, like during these kind of periods, that's why I send a long message on Telegram. What can you do? You just basically shut up and build. Right? You build in background, and you focus on your technology, focus on your long term growth, focus on your runway, focus on cutting costs, um, getting your team together and understand the difference between noise versus building something sustainable. These are the things needed, right? So that's what we are doing, focusing on V10 launch, prioritizing, having really good partnerships with some of the partners that we see. um, Good thing about these kind of negative sentiment in markets, everything is cheap, to be honest. When you try to reach out to a smart contract developer, usually charge maybe $300,000 a year. Now it's like only 80K, right? For the year. So things are cheap now, which is good. And also, when you reach out to someone in the industry, let's say a podcast, someone who's hosting podcasts, or someone who are in the BD section, uh, some of the some of organizations like let's say like Binance and some of exchanges, usually these BDs never respond to you, but now they're chasing us, right? So there are good and bad, but overall, I think for us is we have to stay focused. That's the most important thing. I'll give you some updates, obviously. There are tons of updates, but I cannot cover everything since I only have maybe half an hour. Um, so I'll try my best to cover some updates, and some of the updates, obviously, I don't want to share, um, because there's no point sharing on a call like this, which is public, and then make an announcement. I got a lot of backlash from my team and also some of the community members, that we're sharing too much on AMA. I love to share, but that's the feedback I got from our team and also some of the members in the community. So I'll keep it some high level. And if you guys have any specific questions, request the mic and I'll try to address. Yeah. So let's start. Um, so what I see in the industry right now, I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to this. I'm talking about AI industry. I don't know if you guys know, in the last 6 months, like compute RAM is gone crazy. So everybody think GPU price is going crazy. I mean, if you compare RAM, RAM is going even crazier. Like spot RAM in the last, I think uh, last quarter, spot price is about $5 at the beginning of the quarter, and hit almost like $28. So $5 to $28. So there's a significant jump in terms of price, right? So it's more than 5x in terms of the demand. So it's not because of the hype. There's also a demand because AI models, it's required insane amount of memory. It's kind of a cheaper to hold AI memory and your recent work on a memory rather than calling the GPU. Because if you call the GPU compute is costly, right? Therefore, holding temporarily things in your recent workload, everything on a RAM is useful. So that's one of the reason it's a real demand right now for the RAM. So I think specifically, like 2026, these early, like the price actions, is giving the indication what is about to happen. When you have these kind of like a commodity cycles, um, because I consider RAM is a commodity, I consider GPU is a commodity. I consider even bandwidth is a commodity. Commodity. These are digital commodities, right? Same like how we treat commodities like gold, silver. These are digital commodities. So when you have these kind of demands, usually it's an anticipation of what's to come. Because usually, like most industries, they jump the gun always. But when I look at why RAM price is increasing, why things are going crazy at the moment in terms of like these digital commodities, um, I think what will happen this year, and I strongly believe this. I'm happy to share my research with you guys if you want to fact checks. But from our perspective, 2026 is going to be the year of enterprise AI adoption. I mentioned this last time. Um, like chatbots give like the early feeling about AI to everyone. So that was the aha moment or hello world about AI. People heard about AI through ChatGPT or basically large language models, and we already familiar with AI now. Some people just call AI is ChatGPT. So a lot of people around the world familiar with chatbots. But I think this year, because of that kind of a familiarity, is now these familiarities coming to workplace. So I'll give you an example. Imagine a sales manager uh, or a marketing manager working in a car company who really understand the industry better, right? Because that car salesman is the person who's talking to customers every day, you know, completing some of the deals, understand what's going on in the industry. Imagine this this sales manager has a dashboard, and this dashboard gives him real time demand by the city, kind of like a price difference, and if he sell certain cars in a specific way or specific, let's say, a price difference, how that going to impact overall, like the overall sales for the quarter, like being able to like uh, understand the industry better by having better tools. That salesman or that salesperson can increase their productivity, right? That also can improve their career. So what's happening now, if you guys see or if you heard about applications like Lovable or Base 44, so these are AI chatbots specifically designed for you to build apps. Like you can just go to, similar like ChatGPT, you can just type a simple prompt in the case of a sales manager. So if I'm a sales manager of a car company, I can say, okay, build a dashboard. A dashboard has these kind of characteristics, and it imports data from, let's say, in the last 20 years, the car sales of different brands, and connect my live, let's say, connect live feeds from market data from this provider. And I'm just typing, right? I'm just typing like I'm explaining to someone what kind of a app that I want. And you just hit enter, and this basically app development AI chatbot is going to build the app for me, instead of waiting like months and weeks begging from an engineering team of your company or outsourcing that work. You can just build your own app within a matter of like minutes and hours, and you can customize that, right? You can rewrite the whole thing if you want. And if you think about like 2 to 3 years ago, or even 1 to 2 years ago, that's like is never heard of, right? If you're a sales manager, marketing manager, HR manager, accountant, anyone who's unable to code or a non-technical person, they it's like a dream for them, right? In their workplace, in order for them to improve their productivity, bring more creativity for their workplace by using vibe coding, right? Non-builders able to build apps and services to improve their productivity and accelerate their careers is what's going to happen this year, because everyone familiar with these kind of chatbots, when they heard about enterprise AI adoption, everybody going to jump on board. So I think this is where, um, like I talked about this like a few years ago, AI industry now 2026 will go through a S curve, which means the hype is over. Then you will see some more really nice steady demands. So that's also indicates the demand of like a RAM, because like I said, usually the market always try to anticipate the demand, and then just things can go crazy. That's why especially the RAM prices and GPU prices going significantly high, because to demand, they anticipating these demands and try to provide the supply. That's why US and China, if you go everywhere, everybody just basically spending billions, if not trillions of dollars collectively, spending on infrastructure, building data centers, highly specialized, energy efficient data centers, right? Why they're doing it? They're anticipating what's about to come. In reality, like a lot of people overhype or overestimate, like in spending so much money on those things. Reality, you get like maybe 40, 50% the actual customers of the demand, right? So usually any industry that going through this kind of a new phases, this is how the supply demand works. But I see a clear path, especially in the enterprise world. People are going to have really easy apps and services they wanted to build. Now, what's the difference between Lovable and OpenxAI V10? If you think about it, uh, there's a big concern for enterprise AI customers is the privacy. If you're let's say a salesperson of a very large car company, of course reliability will going to be important for you, but you also worry that if you upload that data into, let's say, a private company owned services, or like a chat GPT kind of a service, they're concerned about their data, because their data, customer data, they have a privacy policies within their regions. They also worry about intellectual property. So uploading uh, like their customer data or their own IP, intellectual property, into a chatbot and build services, they always worry about things. Um, but lucky for OpenxAI V10 and our architecture, we have a concept called private chatbots. So you can basically build your own chatbots. In the case of the sales manager, you are building your own chatbot, but the chatbot itself is an app, but also controlled by only by you. Nobody can access. It's secured by your Web3 technologies. So that's the future, right? So, and imagine this person build an app, something really cool dashboards is up and running, and this person decided to sell this whole thing because it's a really cool tool. Some people might find it useful. That person can, the creator can basically transfer the ownership or sell it as an NFT. So so that's a very very big difference, right? But then some of you might say, well, hang on a second, like corporate people selling NFTs, that's the joke. Uh, but I think if you make it like technologies don't even feel the complicity, right? And this is what everybody's focusing on right now in Web3. So how can we embed a lot of complicity behind the scene, but provide a greater user experience for the users, so they don't even feel they're dealing with the Web3 technologies. They feel like a Web2 technologies. However, lot of things are happening behind the scene, but the guaranteed of using cryptography, decentralization, things like smart contracts, that gives the comfort and the assurance for the users. That's the difference between like spending, let's say, $10 million on a marketing campaign versus like having a solid foundation and a solid technology that the trust is built into the design of the product. So those kind of a product will can adopt users and retain users long term, compared to like marketing company selling a SaaS AI services tied to recruit or acquire customers and maintain the business. So we see a clear path there how V10 can position for some of the enterprise type of clients, but also like regular users, like someone in the community, in OpenxAI community, they can build apps. You can build apps. You can utilize these technologies. So that's something I see a really good shift in this year, because the large language models aren't sexy anymore, right? Most of large language models pretty much does the same thing. So LLMs are gone. So that's history. Like this year is all about large population models, things like infrastructure. Infrastructure going to be a really big play. That's why I think OpenxAI, our infrastructure, and also allowing people to buy and sell GPUs and memory. That's where I think our network and our crypto side or our Web3 side is becoming very interesting. Because if you really see a really big demand for uh, these digital commodities, because I think the the advancement of the super cycle, or the continuum of the super cycle of commodities like gold, silver, palladium, and etc. That will probably reflect into digital commodities. The problem is right now there aren't any instruments for you to trade on. Like if you think RAM price is going to crash next month, you cannot trade. You cannot buy a short on a RAM, right? There's no financial instrument. You cannot go to Binance and short RAM price. You can't go to Binance to buy a long because you think GPU price going to go up in value. You don't have those infrastructure today, right? Uh, but what OpenxAI is building underneath the V10 is the trading engine, similar like Uniswap, but purely on focus on these compute GPU bandwidth and memory, these kind of financial assets and instruments where people can trade. Uh, why this is very interesting. So the V10 bring users and demand, um, and the trading layer will bring basically price discovery. When you build a really nice trading engine for people to match orders and trade and speculate, that improves the liquidity on these tokenized GPUs and tokenized RAM. So that's a really good way to introduce a price discovery. When you have a free market, the price discovery can help significantly to maintain a fair price. So I think that's a very, very interesting topic. So I think when you have some sort of a um, early adoption on the trade engine and also the V10, that's where things will start kicking in because people can feel, people can experience, people can experiment. What does that look like? Like how can I go along or short on RAM by using tokenized uh, RWA or tokenized real world assets? So so these are very interesting things we are working on right now. Obviously, um, I think these kind of innovations don't even exist today. Uh, that's why it takes time to build things. We need to release certain updates in batches. But what we are currently doing is to focus on a successful launch. So we did a really good experiment with the Base Mania Factory. For those who participated in Base Mania Factory, you probably fell to your journey, right? We created a very short whitelisting phase where we ask people to whitelist, and after the whitelist ended, we had a deadline, strict deadline. After the whitelist ended, we introduced the Base Mania Factory. So we had a certain campaigns, and we had dashboards. We built, we ran workshops. We onboarded a lot of users, and what happened as an outcome, so we had about 18,000 plus whitelisted. And then within 5 days or 6 days, we had about 1,100 apps shipped. So that's a really small scale test of how we can execute not just user acquisition, but also converting users into take action, like a call to action. So we did that. Obviously, we didn't even anticipate we would get 18,000 people um, and 1,100 apps. I personally thought we would get maybe 2,000 or maybe maximum, 3,000 people whitelist and 500 apps. I thought, uh, you know, even 500 is a big number, I thought. But hey, uh, surprise, surprise, it was really successful. But that campaign, we didn't even put much efforts into it. No marketing, not much distribution. We didn't push too much with Base Media Factory. Now, take a take a if you think about the Base Media Factory and the campaign and whitelisting, we're going to copy paste the same success formula with a V10 launch. That's why I'm hearing a lot of people requesting, can I see V10? Can I access some of the features? Obviously, that's going to be a part of the campaign of the launch. So what we are working on now, the campaign to launch V10 is called Circle. Circle is a kind of a platform, uh, if you want to call it like maybe a Facebook of OpenxAI. It has really good dashboards we are building. It has a built-in courses. You can connect your wallet. You can complete a course, which kind of understand how can you utilize V10, what are the features, and how can you basically accelerate your career or your creativity. and you can earn a badge, and you become like, let's say, early beta user. You will have access to V10. You will have access to some compute. There will be some games we're going to do. There will be gamification things we're going to do, dashboards, leaderboards, referral programs. So a lot of things are currently working in the background, right? Because if you're launching V10, we can't just launch V10 like a random event, because V10 for us, like personally for me, it is one of the most advanced, and it will be the most talked AI Web3 platform in the industry. Like, like I haven't seen anything like this. So, which means for us, V10 launch is going to be our iPhone moment. So, the breakthroughs and tools we are introducing is basically fundamentally going to change how people build, deploy, and consume AI applications and AI agents. Um, so that's the big difference compared to launching like a base mini app factory. Base mini app factory is a application layer. V10 is a full stack solution for you. You have the AI tokenization layer, you have compute layer, you have application layer, you have app development capabilities. It has a lot of things inside. That's why I said it's going to be one of the most talked platform in the industry, not just within Web3, by the way. Um, it most likely will be in the AI space as well. So therefore, um, the V10 has to launch in a right time. Also, we have to build a proper, I call it, let's say, V10 Marines. So in order to get V10 fans, we have to build certain campaigns. We had to build certain platforms for them to communicate. We gotta understand their pain points. We need to educate, because if you're introducing, let's say, iPhone, people use people familiar with Blackberries, or like a traditional phones, but iPhone is basically fundamentally shift things. Um, of course, the product launch will happen in a really big keynote. Our team gonna be presenting in a really nice location. We're coordinating that, but the circle, it's the platform or the campaign we're gonna run in order to onboard users. The users will be developers, or someone has no idea about development capabilities, but they can basically come on board and they can build their services, AI services. Same the example that I told you about, like a sales executive in a car company, or a car uh, or real estate industry, right? So we're building that tool. So the goal of a Circle platform is to onboard around 15 to 20,000 people. It's a conservative number, but I think that's the number we're looking for. We might get 50,000, 100,000. I mean, who knows? So we are focusing on that as a campaign. So that's what's happening in the background a lot. We're spending a lot of resources right now, the team resources, our brain power, um, how to build this circle and launch circle properly, because circle is the user onboarding um, stadium, right? So that's the stadium that we need to invite the crowd, and we have to let people say, hey, is there going to be a football match in 30 days? Please sit down, enjoy. Here are some food for you to enjoy, socialize. They're inside the stadium, and when the match is started, then everybody will be excited, they can see. But without having a proper onboarding, we can't just launch V10, right? People will be very confusing. We will get a lot more support tickets, and people not familiar with the platform, we will be receiving a tons of complaints, questions, and etc. But doing with a circle, onboarding some early beta users and educating them, warming them up, making them like understand what V10 does and what are the capabilities, onboarding them nicely and give them a deadlines and gamifying things, make it enjoyable, and making them belong into an ecosystem and a community. That's a better way of launching V10. Yeah. So that's that's the primary thing we're working on at the moment. And there are other other verticals that we're working on. I shared on the Telegram group. We are actually doing a POC at the moment, um, with a popular city. Uh, that city is known for like an AI city. They've got tons of data centers. We're looking at extending the tokenized GPU idea into a tokenized GPU, a center, like a unit. So if you think about a tokenized GPU, a GPU, it's a smaller, uh, like a computer. Like if you think about like a laptop, like that's a size. But uh, we found a city that embracing tokenizing a data center. So we're doing a POC with them. Early days, by the way, just to give you heads up. If everything goes well, um, so the city and the government will probably will talk about it if we do it. If we do a good job, of course, there's a lot of technical hurdles, but that would be a proof of concept to showcase. Hey, if you have an AI data center, you spend so much money on buying GPUs and sitting basically doing sometimes nothing. Because I always say this, sometimes the GPU, like a meat, they have a shelf life, maybe 3 months, 6 months. You have to replace the GPUs. But if you tokenize it while people are running workloads, people can basically, you know, speculate and trade. So your data center as your primary revenue is not to come from renting your GPUs. It might be coming from maybe the trading fees of your data center, maybe yield coming from staking uh, tokenized GPU, and the trading capabilities and the trading layer will help to even to discover the price. So people, there will be a fair price discovery there. So there are a lot of like really cool innovation will happen in that vertical. I'll give you more details about that, soon once things are more materialized, because early conversation at the moment. But I really love the city, that the city and the government is, they, like, I thought, obviously, their early stage understanding of tokenization, RWA, AI industry. But when you speak to leadership, it is another level, right? They understand like having a data center, spending like say $100 million and hoping that people will use the data center and they will generate revenue for the data center is not what they're thinking. They're thinking, okay, what other methods we can generate revenue? So tokenized layer for a data center is a big demand, uh, according to conversation we had, right? So we're working on that. If we have some updates, maybe we'll share. But at the moment, obviously, I can't share much. Okay, so I have only two more updates in terms of. I think a lot of people are asking about a foundation, um, our legal setup and stuff like that. So we are working on it. So there are a few legal entities we are setting it up, because issuing tokenized GPUs and being able to, for allowing people to trade, um, there are a lot of regulatory things we need to look into. So it's not straightforward thing. Um, a lot lawyers who are involved with these kind of a work are specialized, and they came back around 8th or 7th of January. So we did initial scoping. We did last year, December, we did initial scoping. But then there's a lot of questions, right? Okay, so if someone issued GPU, tokenized GPU from America, someone bought it in, let's say, somewhere in European Union, and this person got burned or something, who's going to be responsible, right? So if you are the platform enabling these interactions, we need to have those, some sort of a regulatory, at least we're not going to have a regulatory scrutiny from a regulatory point of view. because these are tokenization of real world assets. So there are a lot of regulatory requirements. Since we are a US entity, OpenxAI is a US based entity, and we want to prioritize US market. One thing that we don't want to do, we want to jump the gun, assume things we are doing is right, and then go to the market. And you know, end of 2026, we will get a subpoena from CFTC or SEC about our wrongdoing, right? That can basically destroy the entire project, and possibly, uh, like myself and some of the uh, founding team might be even liable for those things, because like we are looking future. What we've seen in crypto space, sometimes the law might be gray. So teams basically, ship things, they build things fast. Like great example is a good friend of mine is Andre Cronje. So he used to build like DeFi primitives, right? So one of the great DeFi primitive he built called Yearn Protocol. He launched Yearn Protocol as a DeFi yield aggregator. For him, it's really cool because in order to optimize yield, he built a tool and then he gave it that to public. But what happened? You technically in South Africa, where he lived, you need to have a money license and offering those kind of services. So he got so much uh, regulatory scrutiny personally. So so those things happen maybe a few years later. So right now, Trump administration, everything looks good, and they're giving a lot of hopium and excitement. But what happens? Let's say Democratic Party comes, and then you get like someone like a Gary Gensler, and basically reversing everything that Trump administration did. Then what happened? They're going to look for projects who actually cross the lines, and then they're just going to, you know, uh, destroy destroy those projects and teams. Right? They will just basically go after. That's why we're okay to push regulations. We're okay to basically like challenge that, but we don't want to cross too much lines, because ultimately we are looking at long term. So that's why it's very important setting up legal structures, setting up specific terms and conditions of the services when we offer these things to public. What does that mean from a regulatory point of view? Because the reg clearance that we need is not just within the US. We need to focus on Hong Kong, Singapore, common law, especially English law, Australia, UK, and Canada. We need to focus on European laws. So a lot of things are happening. So some of you don't probably understand the complexity behind it, because we are trying to launch a lot of innovative tools, but these innovative tools cannot be just a random like a meme coin kind of a launch, right? So gotta do it better and correctly. So that's something I want to highlight. Um, what else? Circle launch I mentioned. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Um, yeah, that's the update for me, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Ashton, for very good breakdown of V10 and Circle and how they actually correlate with each other. I think this will help the community to understand and to get some insights on what the team is building. So let's take a look on the questions which we collected in TG and Discord. I think you covered that, but maybe let's discuss a little bit. Um, can we sneak peek of V10? So I think community trying to or wanted to see some teaser or screenshot how actually V10 possibly may look like, and how and what is actively being built.
Mm. Well, the back end, front end, I think some of our internal team and even ambassadors have seen it. Um, I mean, I'm not sure if we can share a lot of the uh, we can do like a beta test like for limited, because we really want to make sure that we launch it properly, because we know there are competitors. We know that a lot of people are looking into innovations and technology like this. When you spend like years building R&D, and we want to make sure we are not going to launch it in a incorrect way, and then we fail, right? So there's a lot of risk involved doing that. Um, but I think we can give you guys some demos, like very high level demos. We can set a time, or we can share some videos, but we can't share like too much details.
All right. I think that would be enough. I think we need to think with the core team what details we could reveal. But I think that's what they're looking for, at least a little bit of a teaser. So, guys, we will update you on this. I think in upcoming sessions and in our chats, probably after the discussion with the core team. Let's proceed with another questions. So it's more related to the token. So why is the price down, and why no marketing? I think these kind of repeating questions. I could add another one. I think this is kind of several repeated times at least about the OpenX token demand. Uh, some of the community members stating that there is no demand for token, and they are doubting how it may increase. So what is your take on this, Ashton?
Yeah, I mean, it's true that there's no demand, right? Because there's no utility. The utility come from V10. Um, like some of you probably can recall who were part of OpenxAI last year. Our goal, September launch, and after token launch, we focus on base, and we just onboarded some base users, and then October November is the actual platform launch, and then tokenized GPU launch and etc. So the the reality here with OpenxAI, we haven't built, sorry, we haven't launched those things that we meant to launch, and that's where the utility and the token usage going to come. Staking services, like you can stake to earn, get some rewards out of the platform revenue. Those kind of capabilities will come after launching those things like V10, etc. So, like, the community is right. Obviously, there's no utility, right, other than speculation. And just to address a few things about the price action, of course, I wrote this. Um, I wrote a long message on the Telegram group. Like during these kind of times, uh, no point try to do too many things. You know, my philosophy, doing this probably more than 6 times in the last kind of 11 years, is very simple. Is shut up and focus and build. If you want to keep it short, shut up and build. Right? Bear markets. Like I've been in bear market more than like 3 bear markets. So what you do in a bear market, or at least like we feel like a bear market, what you do is just shut up and build. You don't do anything else. You focus on, the growth. You focus on the actual launch. You anticipate what might be coming, and making sure your team and technology is going to be relevant in 6 months and 1 year, and that's it, right? So you cannot do anything else. Like a lot of people asking about the price section. Like I don't know if you guys know this. Like a lot of projects, I challenge you to go and investigate any projects who are basically uh, completely not like kind of immune to price actions. Let's say like 80 90% projects are down like 89%, 80 to 90%, right? So that's like the industry standard during times like this. But if there's a one or two project basically doing phenomenally different, you need to wonder why that's the case. Um, and often either the supply controlled by the team or one individual, or they basically have a market maker who work with the exchange or wherever the trading happening, or they might even cross the line by doing wash trading and maintaining a fake market cap. And of course, there's no regulation in the industry, so teams basically do lots of those kind of things. They they create a fake market caps, and so some people are doing that. Obviously, for us, we cannot do any of that, right? So we are a docs team. We're working in a regulatory environments. Like we cannot create price, right? So we cannot artificially inflated prices. We cannot do wash trading. We cannot do anything illegal, which consider illegal and unethical. We cannot do that. So we cannot create price pumps. So whatever you see is actually what's happening. Uh, and and during this time, deploying capital into marketing, like a lot of people are saying, we should focus on better marketing, better marketing comms, but the fear and uncertainty and doubts you cannot override by better comps, right? It gives you comfort, but overall the liquidity, and the sentiment is overall really bad. So anything that you spend on marketing, any dollar that you spend on marketing and any sort of campaigns is basically gone forever, right? Because it doesn't convert into anything tangible, and you're just burning cash or you're experimenting. Like we've done this many times. We experimented before, right? Like I used to, I believed before, like I'll give an example. Like after a huge rally in 2017, we had a huge bear market in 2018, end of 2018. So Ethereum went for like $150 for Ethereum, and all coins down like 90, sometimes 95%. Uh, and I thought, okay, you know what? Let's focus on a better communication, marketing, and I pushed the team to deploy lots of resources because we thought that's maybe we can experiment different. But the reality after spending a lot of resources, it didn't convert into anything. And when we deploy capital, let's say I think April of 2019, then things started having a positive actions, not just from a price action, but also user onboarding, user validation, user retention, network utility, network usage. Things improved significantly. So we have to think about like what is smart and what is basically like we think is smart to do. Um, because it's otherwise it's basically you're just wasting your resources for some ideas and simple concepts, right? Because like I want to summarize this, because for us in the next phase, the three things matter more than price: um, shipping the product and having the velocity, having that adoption for the V10 and a successful circle. That's very important, and having a real usage on compute and AI workloads. That's very important, and giving the V10 capabilities to accelerate people creativity and productivity, right? um, and then tie economic activities to the protocol, into the network, and tie that into the token itself. So you have a economic, not just a speculation. It has economic viability as a network and also the token. Because when these things move, price can follows after, right? In most cases. But if your price was the only metric of the truth, then every bubble would be right. Yeah. Because if you think about like every infrastructure layer, it looks so bad at the beginning, right? So I can give you some examples. Like when TCP uh, kind of a was a kind of introduction for early 90s. Like there's so many papers written why it's a very bad idea, right? Um, And if you go back and check AWS business proposals and pitch decks early days, they thought the AWS business is a failing business in 2 years, right? I remember when Vitalik is talking about early Ethereum as a decentralized supercomputer. I remember like 2014, there's a joke happening, I think, in Reddit and some of the forums. It thought it was a joke, to be honest, right? And like Phantom Time or Sonic. So I kind of rebranded Phantom as a first kind of smart city chain, and everybody just kind of thought that's a joke, as like a funny thing. And when Phantom focused on DeFi chain and rebranded as a DeFi kind of a focus, everybody asked, "What is DeFi?" Right? So this is going to be the case. Like a lot of people will not understand, like what is OpenxAI value proposition, why OpenxAI matters, right? But for us, is OpenxAI not a meme? Is an infrastructure play. Uh, Infrastructure related things is always misunderstood before before having that traction. When traction is happening, which is very difficult because the infrastructure is very boring, right? Because you cannot experience something very quickly. That's why infrastructure projects takes time to adopt and get some traction. But when you have traction, you have a really good sustainability. I mentioned this before. Like it's very easy if you're building let's say simple AI app, or like a mobile app, like an iPhone app, or you're launching a website. It's very easy to basically, you know push it and and get your early customers, build your minimum viable product, and build your ecosystem, and you can do that very easily. But when you're launching an infrastructure on a network, you got to think about network effect. You need to think about minimum viable ecosystem. You're not building a minimum viable product. You're building minimum viable ecosystem. These things takes time. So the real question, it's not OpenXL will be understood today, uh, but whether you will be here when it's obvious, right? So that's the question for our team and also the members, because the bottom line for us is to, like, we are here for long run. Like this project is our life's work, like my life's work, and also some of the senior members. We put our own capital to the project. Like we haven't raised money from VCs. This is our baby, right? So our goal is to build a solid foundation and long term growth, right? That's why we are careful with the regulations. That's why we're careful with how we spend our money, how we spend our resources. That's why we're careful of who's basically getting into the team, who's actually in the team. So we're doing what is best for the project long term.
Thanks, Ashton. Was nicely explained. I would say. Um, yeah, and I totally agree with you. It's not a question if, but rather than. So let's proceed with a few more questions. I think you touched this, but maybe you could share some more thoughts. So was a kind of reflection from TG. Not everything in the market is down 80-90%. Can we clarify this with actual data? I would say that was a reflection to one of your posts in ATG, I think. Not sure what we could comment here, but we are obligated to put all community questions. So maybe you could comment something here.
So the question, can you repeat the question? So you're saying not
Yeah,
everything is down,
not
or
everything in a market is down 80-90%. I
uh-huh.
think you just invited the community for the challenge to double check that. Can we clarify this with actual data? So maybe some examples here.
Yeah, just go to. I shared a CoinDesk article I shared with you. There's a few also analysis done um, it's actually not. Uh, it's not 80%. It's 86%. Is basically died. Not even 90% died. 90% down. It's 86% dead, according to CoinDesk. It's not me saying. It's by CoinDesk. I mean, CoinDesk, uh, they are not just publishing things, how because how they feel. They're just doing a lots of research. They're citing their research into CoinGecko, right? Yeah, I mean, you do your research, but I think overall, like you can see numbers. Um, there's a specific a table, a chart that I shared. In the chart, over according to chart, over 11 million projects basically failed in 2025. That's the most significant failure across all the time, across all the I would say the period since 2020, so 2021. So if you want numbers according to this chart, the source is from CoinGecko. So 2021, it's about 2,584 projects died, and then 2022, it's basically 200,000. So from 2,500 in 2022, 200,000. So it's like a massive significant difference. How many projects have failed from 2021 to 2022, and 2023 is 245,000. It's not a big difference, but 2024 1.3 million. So there's a huge jump from 2022, and it's a massive difference compared to 2021. If you look at 2025 data, that's 11 million, right? So compared to 11 million compared to like 2022, I mean, you do the maths, right? So it's a significant amount of difference. These projects, according to this article, is not talking about these projects basically 80% down or 90% down. It's failed, which means don't even exist. So
Yeah, and I think that's why OpenxAI has a strength inside the project is because it's backed by this, as you called, the boring infrastructure. But to destroy or to make that infrastructure vanish, it's actually not so easy.
I just
So I think
pasted.
that's
By the way,
important.
I just pasted that on Telegram chat. The chart. You guys can go and have a
All
look
right,
at it.
all right, cool guys. So you could double check who's online in TG. Um, let's proceed with a few more. Um, so from all-time high to now, a very large percentage has been wiped. Not saying what wiped, but I guess liquidity. We went higher and fell lower. Can we address this with real numbers?
I mean, what can I say, guys? Like, how do I address? Like, in what way? I think we talked about this. Um, so large percentage of wiped out. Yes, it's not just OpenXAI. It's I just mentioned a lot of projects. Uh, it's not OpenXAI. It's a lot of projects. Are approximately uh, 86 is wiped out, and which means 80 to 90% down is has to be more than 86%. So more than 86% is down. So I'm not sure what do I say with this, with that question.
Yeah, I think it's just a common reality for plenty of crypto projects. Um,
Because
what?
let me, if you guys wanna talk about numbers, like I have received, like during the launch, like a lot of people uh, praise our project because no VCs, no marketing. We launched at 5 million FTV, and it went to like 200 million or 220 million in 5 days. On the first hour, with a stealth launch, we hit like 180 or 170 million dollars. So in infrastructure category and AI category, um, there weren't any projects or even like a broader categories like reach that level of success, right? And right after we launched the token, we had a really good roadmap. And 30 days later, September 10th is our TGE, and 10 days later, we had the mega crash of in crypto. So that's where things went bad. So we were really good during September because we were about to launch things on October, and we had everything planned and lined up. So everything was okay. And like couple of exchanges listing, uh, tokenized GPU, staking, and the V5 we were meant to launch. So if we didn't have this crazy October 10th and the death spiral, and I call it World War IV in crypto, then we won't be in this position, right? But this is what happened, and what can we do? And I even mentioned to you guys why we cannot artificially inflate these actions. We cannot do that. We cannot do wash trading legally, and it's unethical, but also illegal.
Right, thanks, Ashton, for honest answer on this. Um, what exactly is being built right now? A quick breakdown would help.
So V10 specifically, like V10 is what we're working on. V10 has a lots of complex layers, um, because if you think about how to launch a company, like an AI company, today you need a lot of things. We trying to remove a lot of those traditional things that you need, like setting up a company, setting up a credit card, processing payment systems, bank accounts. Like these are the current railways that you need if you want to monetize your AI agents or AI services. What we are building tokenization layer. We're building, instead of using credit cards, we're building on-chain subscription services like smart contract based. We're enabling things like micropayments. We're enabling things like function as a service. So the difference between a subscription versus like a function as a service, you can go subscription as a, you pay subscriptions for everything today. You pay a subscription whether you're going to whether you use it or not. Reality of these subscription models, I think, is pretty much scam, in my opinion, because the price that you pay, sometimes you don't even utilize what you meant to utilize, right? So a lot of subscriptions are like taking money from consumers. We are introducing with the micropayments and stable coins. People can pay for what they're using. They can top up the account. They can have $50 in their account, in their wallet, and they can just use the services whenever they want. So they can use AI agents, AI infrastructure as a service. So they pay for what they use, and that's an interesting part. And for protecting user data privacy and IP, we are introducing things like cryptographically wrapped compute and storage. And we are building Airbnb off GPU, which is a compute layer. We're building a decentralized cloud layer. So expanding data centers, and looking at benchmarks to hit like better benchmarks in terms of pricing, in terms of security, in terms of availability, in terms of privacy aspects. So working on all of that, because these are hidden things that people would not going to see on V10, right? These are things that people will appreciate. It's like when you buy a car. Yeah, you buy a car because you want to go from point A to point B, but you might need AC. You might need to maybe adjust your seat. Maybe you need a massage on the seat, and people will appreciate and enjoy. They have maybe a Bluetooth that you can connect. You have maybe a screen on the back seat that people will enjoy. So these are the little things we are focusing on building.
All right, we were going to the end. two questions left. So any questions from the audience, you guys could request the mic and I will give you access, and then you could jump in on the stage. Um, what is the plan for January specifically? Quite straightforward one.
Yeah, so if things are, for whatever reason, if things turn a little bit better, uh, like our main focus is going to be doing some teaser campaigns about the tokenized data center concept that I talked about. Um, we will basically give some more context around it. And then the legal, obviously, we are chasing lawyers and get that set up. Um, and the main thing for January is Circle, right? So right now we are building the Circle platform, integrating automation, integrating email integrations, dashboards. We are finalizing courses. We are recording courses. Circle is going to be the priority for January, but there are some other verticals and work streams are going in parallel.
Okay, Ashton, and the last one. I see, Swami, you were requesting the mic. I couldn't see the request anymore. So try to resubmit if you want to ask a question. And the last question from the servers. Will the Genesis NFT supply remain 1,000, or is there any plan to reduce the number?
That would be 1,000, right? So the first 1,000 will be we'll be able to mint that NFTs. So it's not going to change.
All right, Swami, I approve your request. So please accept, and when you're ready, you could good to go with your question.
Okay, a very good evening to everybody. I'm Sumi, and thanks very much for that amazing insight you shared so far, Aston. I really like to keep in my contribution before going in with my question because a lot of things you said tonight really resonated with me about AI, about building um, AI chatbots and a lot of it because right now um, where our world or where we're actually going with artificial intelligence is really, really so amazing. And just like you said, Austin, when you started this ANA space, you said that a lot of things were quite pricey. Um, if you want to kind of build your chatbot back in the days or back then, maybe 5 years, back, really pricey, really complicated, really technical. But right now AI has just made everything seamless. Right now, everybody have just been focused on getting into this AI, and more people that have just been in the system, the more just making the ecosystem is full for everyone to be in. So just quickly going into my question as partaking this chatbot because I think a while ago, I think maybe 2 days back or something like that, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed and I saw this developer, talking about this particular creation of this chatbot and everything. And it was really technical. The whole process he was actually introducing was really technical, was really obstruse. And I was like, are we still doing this right now? And I just think that this is where OpenxAI actually come into the place in actually trying to make these technicalities useful for a lot of people that are not actually devs to come in to be able to use this chatbot into you
Sammy, I can't hear you anymore. I'm not sure it's
Yes,
my
yes, same from my end. I think,
right.
Swami, we lost you on the way. So if you could try to um, maybe rejoin or reload your browser, maybe that would help. Not sure if you hear us, because from my understanding, it was more or less reflection to your Ashton presentation, and we haven't heard that specific question just yet. So
Yeah, then I'll make a quick comment. So when you have an AI industry, like if you want to train an AI model, if it costs like a couple of hundred K, or sometimes up to like $1 million, and if you need to spend, let's say, $2,000, $3,000 to utilize some infrastructure for you to get up and running, that basically blocks like millions of users. Someone in countries like Africa, Asia, like like spending $1 million on training on a technology users may not even come yet. Like imagine a startup in Kenya spending $1 million on training. Like how does that make sense, right? So that's why I say AI price today, kind of internet in the 90s, right? Exclude billions of people. Uh, that's why we build a compute aggregator, because we know that, um, like if you think about, there's a concept called first principle thinking, right? So first principle thinking allow you to break. It's a really nice methodology. Allow you to break a problem into fundamental truth, and you can basically find, like, why things might be need to change. One great example I can tell you is SpaceX, right? Um, the fundamental, the truth that need to be, like a fundamental, let's say, idea need to turn into a reality. Like SpaceX team, they needs to understand. They understood that in order to make space tourism and space travel and space logistics viable, you need to make, the space more reusable, because sending a rocket to the space and just discarding it, it's not viable. So they need to figure out how to bring the rocket back onto Earth, and you reuse that. With the reusability as a technology and innovation, change the space industry. And I think when you think about our case in OpenxAI, we build an Airbnb for GPU. So if someone has a GPU that probably haven't utilized for weeks or months, but that person can sell that for 50%, 60% cheaper. So we can aggregate that. We can bring that GPU to someone that probably looking for something cheaper. Maybe the GPU might be a little bit older, but then, I mean, who cares? If you can wait for like 5 minutes longer, if you don't need like a sub-second performance, then you might be okay with it. That's why, we call it infrastructure boring, because building aggregation layers, working with data centers, building APIs, and making sure our technology is compatible with their data centers, it takes time, right? So that's why we've been building for the last 3 4 years. Um, but it's boring because it takes so much time to go and go slowly. But when when you have like a network effect, then people will basically suddenly discover V10, and they're going to enjoy these services that we've spent like years building, right? When you discover like, wow, there's a kind of like a Skyscanner or Airbnb type of a technology that I can actually scan and use compute. Wow, this is a feature that I never seen. I just came to OpenxAI V10 just to build an app, but I didn't even know this feature exists. So this is where the customer loyalty, the wow factor, um, this is something, a product strategy, and myself especially focusing on the product strategy and making sure we have a really good user experience embedded into the product. So at a high level and a surface level, the product itself probably looks simple, but when you go in a rabbit hole, discover amazing features. So all the hard work that we did in the last couple of years, people will appreciate and enjoy. When they appreciate and understood the amount of complex innovation and breakthroughs that we put in, then it's difficult for them to basically go to another platform because we spend years catching up, and competitors might take a long time to basically replicate, right? So that's why like proper tech and proper products takes time to build and adopt.
Okay, Ashton. Thank you very much for time with us. I couldn't see, at least for now, any requests for the mic and for more questions. So, guys, if you are not in our TG and Discord, please join up. I sent the links after this CMA session post, so you could find the links there. Um, Join our Discord community as well. Um have community building events and get knowledge about the project and grow together. I see there some asking Mike approving, so maybe you could want to finish something. Otherwise, I think we are ready to go and see each other on next Tuesday. Just wait a few seconds for Sami. Just check if the mic is working. Sami, could you hear me? I approved
Yeah,
the.
I can hear you. I can hear you. So, going back to my second question, thanks for answering the first question, by the way, Austin. So my second question is, when building this chatbot, there are a lot of core elements or core features, being provided by these LLM providers. So what happens when maybe after a year, policies change or the prices of this core features in building this this chatbot increases? How um how easy is it to like integrate to maybe a probably cheaper tools or something like that, or how painful it is to like you know each through to another process whereby it's more suitable and more cheaper for the chatbot?
I'm not sure if I understood. Just correct me uh, if you're asking what you're asking is correct or not. So the way I understood, so you're asking if there are, let's say, new chatbots introduced by other industry leaders, how those chatbots basically perform based on their parameters on our platform. Is that a question? Is that the question?
No, no, I'm asking that if the LLM providers, if the providers that are used to create this chatbot, if they change their
Mhm.
policies or if they double in prices or something like that, how is it or how does it affect the chatbot as a whole or something? That's what I'm asking.
All right, gotcha. But we are not using any paid services or paid chatbots from other providers, right? Everything what you have on OpenxAI, like if you go to OpenxAI Studio now, everything is open source right now, which means it's free. So these are open source LLMs that built by companies like maybe Facebook or Meta, or DeepSeek or ChatGPT or OpenAI. They build this open source version and they release to public. So public can take that and they can modify some of these LLMs have like MIT license, which means you can break it, you can modify it if you want it. So we are utilizing open source AI LLM models or chatbots, not necessarily like a enterprise paid services, right? What we have, what we are building is using an open source LLM for you to basically deploy into OpenxAI Cloud or OpenxAI bare metal servers, and you utilize our tokenization layer, utilizing, let's say, our on-chain innovations that we have, so you can build the services like monetization, instead of integrating like credit card payments or bank account integration, you can use like crypto and stable coins. So these are the tech that we have with the V10 and current V4.5. but we will not be using any paid services in our platform.
Okay, understood. Because after I was actually thinking that, maybe probably there's like a change in policy or something. Well, now you've like answered my question. I um got it clearly. Thank you, Austin, by the way.
Thank you, Sami.
Thank you, Sami, for your questions. As I always point out, it's we're really happy to see the community interacting with us and make this session more lively. So we encourage everyone, guys, jump in. Don't be scared on your English, because I see some in the chat, somebody scared about the English level. So unless you could read your question, uh, even in a broken English, and we could understand what you want to ask, it's all good. I'm not a native English speaker myself, so you probably could hear my accent. So,
I think
that's it, guys.
nobody is in this in this in this call. Nobody is.
Yeah. So again, Ashton, thank you for your time. I think it's really important to have you here every week. And yeah, let's connect again next week, same time, same place. See you next Tuesday, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.
See you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.